Welcome back. The first step in the design process is understanding the network requirements for the various business systems that will be hosted on the Oracle VM platform you will be implementing. This video will explain the network requirements needed by 4 fictitious business systems that I use throughout the entire video series. You'll need to perform a similar assessment of the business systems that will be part of your environment. Keep in mind that I'm showing you concepts and suggestions for developing your own approach or methodology, not best practices. In fact, some of the things I'll be showing you are not especially practical and not actually a choice I would make in a production environment. Basically, this is because I want to show you a broad range of concepts, so some of the choices are made simply because that's what's available in my lab environment that allows me to demonstrate a concept. Just remember, the point of these videos is simply to give you a general idea of the steps involved in planning and implementing your own environment. Use your skills and experience to devise your own implementation plan. Understanding the business systems. This isn't all that complex. In fact, you might be able to make it more complex or more detailed. Mine's pretty simple. I have 2 networks here. Basically, I have an external facing network on the right hand side for public access. You'll see in a minute, it's customers and suppliers to access systems. And then on the left hand side I have internal private network, which is where all the admins, developers, and database administrators, that's where all of you guys do your work. Okay, so my first business system is comprised of 5 different virtual machines. This is a business activity monitoring business system for internal only. I have data stores on rack nodes, 2 rack nodes. I have middleware, and these are all virtual machines, representing virtual machines. And then I have a couple of application servers. And notice everything here is on the internal network. Here's a second business system for HR, and again I have 5 virtual machines for that one. Here is my CRM, Customer Relationship Management. It has 3 rack nodes, a couple of middleware virtual machines, and 3 app servers. And notice these app servers actually straddle the 2 different networks, so it's pretty typical. They need to be able to communicate on the internal network to communicate with the middleware, have access to the data store, the ability for developers, systems administrators, and DBAs to access the servers. So they'll have an interface on the internal network side, and they'll also have an interface on the external public network side to allow customers to access a customer portal of some sort. And then finally, my 4th business system is supply chain management, and it's just exactly like the CRM, 3 rack nodes, a couple of middleware, and 3 app servers with the same networking requirements. Now what we're going to be building is 2 server pools. Server pool 1 is going to handle the databases and the middleware. Now I have basically 2 different types of virtual machines, if you will, that have 2 different networking requirements. Now both of these, the middleware and the rack, let's say, in our particular instance, we have a front end and we have a back end. So front end access for administration and developers and application data, and then a second interface for NFS, iSCSI, backups, whatever, the back end interface. So all of those, the database and the middleware will have those 2 interfaces. Now the rack nodes will have an additional interface because rack requires a private network for cache fusion and the cluster heartbeat. And so we'll have 3, the rack nodes will have 3 interfaces, whereas the middleware will only have 2 interfaces. And same thing for all of those business systems under that server pool. Alright, so now server pool 2, if you look at the bottom of the screen, is where I'm putting the server pool names down there. I have 2 different basically 2 different types of virtual machines here also. And the two business systems above, BAM and HR, they're basically like the middleware. I only need two interfaces. I need a front-end interface and I need NFS, back-end interface. Now on the CRM has a different requirement. It's more like the database, right? I have those same two basic interfaces, an internal facing administration or front end and a internal facing NFS or backup network, back-end network. Now I also have a third interface because I have to be able to talk to customers and suppliers. So I'll have a third interface that's external facing to the extranet. And that's basically all you really need to understand about these virtual machines. And with that information, then we'll move on to the next video, which is translating those requirements into an actual plan. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.